Wow, Hamilton was robbed! Max. Hey guys, Adrian Racing here, back today with another video. Now this is going to be something a little bit different from the usual sim racing stuff. Now, so as many of you are aware, the Formula 1 2021 World Championship final race of the season was decided last night, with Max Verstappen taking his very first World Championship, beating Lewis Hamilton on the very last lap to claim his title by 8 points. And once again, the race, just like the rest of the season, has been very controversial. And I thought it would be kind of interesting to put my thoughts and my opinions into a video for you guys, and hopefully have a little civil discussion in the comments as well. As much as F1 fans try and be as toxic as they can to each other, I hope you kind of keep it, at least be nice to each other. You maybe don't have to agree with everyone, but just try and be nice to each other. So I'm fairly unbiased on this. All I've wanted the whole season long is just to see a fair battle between the two greats of this year and the greats of the sport in general, Max and Lewis. Now, to sum up my thoughts about the race on Sunday, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, we kind of have to have a quick look back through the season just to get a rough understanding of where everything is in terms of my opinions and stuff. So, the whole season long, yeah, there's been some decisions that have been made throughout the season, whether that's from the stewards, whether that's from Michael Massey, that have been controversial, all the way back from the start of the season, thinking way back when. It's been a long time since we had that controversial opinion about Max Verstappen overtaking on Lewis Hamilton back in the Bahrain Grand Prix, the first round of the championship, all probably about 9 months ago now. We've come a long way since then. Decisions such as awarding points at Spa, which personally I feel should not have been awarded. Whether that's decisions with the Silverstone incident, which I'm not touching with a 10-foot barge pole, I have my opinion. All these decisions throughout the season, from Imola Turn 1 to Bahrain to Silverstone to Spa, all of them have culminated in that both drivers have been helped and hindered by the decisions. Whether that was the Hamilton disqualification in Interlagos and the Turn 4 incident where he was pushed off the track or wasn't pushed off the track. In the end, Hamilton eventually went on to win that race by, let's be real, absolutely stomping the field completely. Whether that was Max being given the advantage with Hamilton not giving a strong enough penalty in some opinion, in some areas. It's all been a bit of a topsy-turvy season, but at the end of the day, the championship came down to a final fight between Max and between Lewis. All the decisions gone previously have all led to an equal points finish. So, taking the season as a whole is important, but at the same time, it came down to the final race. So the whole season is kind of, to be honest, invalid. I mean, yes, Verstappen should have won the title a few races ago before Hamilton decided to step his game up and unleash his inner demon at Brazil. Could Hamilton have won the championship as well? I don't know. Max has sort of had the upper hand the entire season. Yes, he's had short spells where he hasn't won it, but at the same time, Max has also put himself in those situations by maybe fighting a bit too hard, maybe not backing out where he should have. Who knows? But it all came down to the final fight. Equal cars, let's be real. The Mercedes was not the faster car, at least in qualifying. During race trim, yes, that car was faster. Max could not keep up. Hamilton managed to stretch himself a 10-second lead after the pit stops, especially on the hard tyres. But then at the same time, Verstappen had pole. Verstappen had the advantage. He has to go into this knowing that he's although they're on equal points, he's got more wins. If they both crashed, he would have won the championship. And I think he knew that when we headed onto the first lap. So the first lap lunge from Verstappen, it was late, it was bold. Should Hamilton have given up the place? I don't think so. Should Hamilton have backed off a bit more? Yes. He definitely gained probably about half a second, which just put Max out of DRS. And on those soft tyres at the start that weren't going to last him very long, pulling out of DRS range was really not an option. Really not an option for Verstappen to go with. At that point, his race was kind of doomed. He did need a bit of luck, which we will get to later, don't you worry. But the lunge. My way of thinking, Max knows if they both crash out, he wins the championship. He's sending that car in there. He stayed on the track, mind you. It's not a Brazil incident where they've both gone off the track. He stayed within the white lines of the racetrack. He's made the corner. He slightly missed the apex, but he made the corner. He knew that Hamilton would jump out of the way. Hamilton has no risk. He cannot risk turning in and claiming a racing incident, because if they both crash out, that's his championship over. He had to live to fight another day. He did gain about half a second. I reckon he should have backed off a bit more. Put the gap back to about half a second. Would that have maybe changed the rest of the race? I don't think so. He should not have given the place back. Max just basically just let off the brake pedal into the braking zone, sort of forcing his way past, which is hard racing, yes. A fair move, yes. Did Hamilton do the right thing? In my opinion, yes. The place should not have been given back, but the gap should definitely have been reduced. Ultimately, though, the Mercedes just had the pace, and even if he had dropped that to a second, half a second, even a tenth of a second, and Max had had another go into the next hairpin at, I think it was turn 8. Hamilton would have just pulled away. If he'd have managed to stay ahead there as well, through the final sector, that Mercedes just had the pace. And off he went. Hamilton just disappeared. Max had no answer, even despite being on soft tyres compared to Hamilton's mediums. They just didn't have the pace answer. And so the race carried on. Then the VSC happened about 35 laps in. Yes, I mean, I think Hamilton probably should have pitted under the VSC. Of course, as well, if he had pitted, Max would have had the track position, but Lewis had the pace advantage. And he had more power. He had the Brazil engine. He would have slipstreamed past Max, and Max would have done as much as he can to defend, but I don't think he would have been able to defend against the charging Hamilton in that Brazil engine on fresher tyres. And if Hamilton had pitted, he would have had the fresh tyres for the end of the race. So, should we discuss the end of the race? I guess. 4 laps to go. Mick Schumacher and Nicholas Latifi have a little altercation, giving Latifi some less than optimal tyres, let's say that. Latifi then does the absolute GOAT thing and bins the car with 4 laps to go. That's a safety car going on. There's no arguments there. Of course, we've got lapped cars in the way. What are we meant to do? Michael Massey. I do kind of feel for Michael Massey. All the accidents he's made, all the wrong decisions he's made, all the stupid decisions he's made the whole season. He's got a tough job, to be fair to him. And choosing what to do in those last 4 laps, you don't want to see the race end under a safety car. You don't want to see a title-winning race end under a safety car. But at the same time, you have to think of the safety. You have to get the track clear. And they managed to get the track cleared in 2 laps. Now that gave 1 lap to sort everything out and 1 lap of racing to go. Should the lapped cars have been let past? Yes. But all the lapped cars should have been let past. Honestly, I had no problem with the lapped cars being put out of the way and having a 1 lap sprint between Hamilton and Verstappen. It's, at the end of the day, it's not up to the FIA what tyres Hamilton's on. People are moaning about, oh, Hamilton was on 50 lap old hards while Max was on 2 lap old softs. That's not the FIA's fault. That's not Michael Massey's fault. That's Mercedes' fault. That's Hamilton's fault, Mercedes' fault. That's the strategy. at the end of the day, championships are won or lost as a team, and that's a team decision there to put Hamilton on the hards and keep him on the hards. So that's irrelevant. The tyre situation there is irrelevant. But the lapped cars decision, this is where it gets a bit tricky to pick a side. Speaking from my personal opinion, yes, the lapped cars should have been let past, but all of the lapped cars. Every car that was lapped, which to be fair was most of the field, at least the ones that are all on the same 1 lap behind. I think there was a couple of cars on 2 laps behind by the end of the race. All the cars that were 1 lap behind should have gone past the safety car on the back straight. If they'd have then floored it, they would have easily created enough of a gap, 20-second gap, that they would not have interfered with the Hamilton-Verstappen fight. Yes, they should have gone racing for the last lap, and that they did, and I am extremely happy that we managed to get the most exciting single lap of racing that we've seen in many, many, many years. But all the lapped cars should have been let past. It's not fair on the likes of Alonso, on Vettel, who had a fight on their hands. They could have had 1 or 2 places. I mean, look at Yuki Tsunoda. He sent it on Valtteri Bottas on the very last lap to claim P4, equaling his best finish in Formula 1. And someone like Vettel, that he could have capitalised. He would maybe have points, and while it may not have affected the championship, it affects the point standings, and it's just taking away. They took only those back markers for the sake of letting Hamilton and Verstappen fight, which, taking away from the full spectacle just to have the focus on 2 drivers, yes, they're fighting for a championship, but the other cars are as well. It wouldn't have been that hard to let all the lapped cars past, surely. On the back straight, by the time the safety car backs them all up, I mean, they were going so slow, they could have pulled 5 seconds on the field, and I'm just repeating myself now. That was the only thing that I personally found to be controversial. The lap car should have been let past. There is no way that there would have been an equal fight on equal terms, excluding the tyres, if the lapped cars were in the way. The lapped cars had to be let past, because otherwise it's a Hamilton secured victory. At that point, when the safety car goes out, when the safety car comes in, it's up to Hamilton and it's up to Verstappen. Everything leading up to that moment, all the strategy calls that race. At the end of the day, we don't want to see a race end under a safety car. That's the last thing we want to see. And I personally feel that Masi did the right decision at the end, letting them race for 1 lap. Toto can cry as much as he likes, and I've lost a fair bit of respect now for Mercedes with how they've handled the situation. Protesting after the race after it's all said and done. Once, yes. Twice, no. At that point, you know you're not going to win. Why bother? Toto crying to Masi over the radio. It's not right. That is right. I'm sorry, Toto. And okay, Christmas is over, I guess. And yeah, I just personally feel that the right thing was at the end of the race to let them race for 1 lap. So, to sum up my feelings about the race and the championship as a whole, Hamilton deserved that win yesterday. Hamilton deserved the race win yesterday. He had the pace. He just got severely unlucky with Latifi crashing with 4 laps to go. If Latifi had crashed a lap later, the race would have ended on safety car. A lap earlier, 2 laps of racing, and Hamilton probably would have been able to come back at Verstappen. But then with 2 laps, if it had been a lap earlier, you're pretty much guaranteed. If Hamilton had pitted when the safety car did come out and lost the track position, and they couldn't get the track cleared, he's guaranteed 2nd place. At least if they go green for 1 lap, he can fight it. Yeah. That's my opinion. Hamilton deserved the race win yesterday. I wouldn't say he was robbed, but he was definitely deserved the race win. Both of them deserved the championship. They've both proved themselves this year. Hamilton didn't need to prove himself. He's proved himself for the past 7 years, 6 championships. Verstappen proved himself this season as the pure racer that he is. On some occasions, a bit too pure, a bit too much focused on winning than seeing the bigger picture. But it's all said and done at the end of the day. Max was there to pick up the pieces. And so throughout the whole season, honestly, I mean, you look back at the incidents, Max got unlucky with the incidents with Hamilton. No. He put himself in those situations. So did Hamilton. Looking at Baku, Hamilton had the chance then to take 25 points out of Max's lead after the tyre blowout, which was not Max's fault. That was completely unlucky. The same as in Hungary with Valtteri playing 10-pin bowling into T1. But in the case of Baku, Hamilton didn't capitalise. In Hungary, he did. And while it was only a P3 in Hungary, not a win, which I'm super happy for Esteban Ocon in that race. In Baku was Hamilton's chance to win the championship, and he left the magic on. Too much magic. So I think personally they've both been unlucky as each other. They've both put themselves in a situation. And as I've said at the start of this video, going back to the start of the championship, to Saudi Arabia, all those 21 races or however many we had, ebbs and flows, Hamilton winning, Max winning, they've both had their opportunities to win the championship. Neither of them have taken it. Going to a final race on equal points, Verstappen taking pole, he was the one who should have won that race. Hamilton just pulled out a stellar drive, an absolutely stellar drive that just couldn't quite hold on towards the end. Max needed that bit of luck right at the end, and it came his way. And honestly, I am super happy for Max. He has deserved this championship. You can't say who deserved it more. They both deserved it. But yeah, so there's sort of my thoughts and opinions. While this might not be the most detailed video, it might not be the best video, I'm just sitting here on the Monday afternoon after the race, just trying to collect my thoughts about the Hamilton and Verstappen fight and put them out to you in a way that might seem a bit rambly and you've probably clicked off about 20 minutes ago, or however long this video is going to be. I'm not really sure how much I'm going to cut out of this. But what can we take away from this? Hamilton and Verstappen are two of the greatest drivers that we will ever see in Formula 1. They've joined an elite list of world champions and people who deserve to be champions. The way those two can drive, gapping the... I mean, you look at some of their races. They two... You look at some of their races, Hamilton and Verstappen separated by 2 seconds the entire way through the field. Then you look back to P3, and whether it's Bottas, whether it's Perez, whether it's a stellar drive from one of the midfield teams, they're 40 seconds behind. Nobody can match the raw pace. Not even their teammates in equal cars can match the raw pace of Hamilton and Verstappen. And all I can hope is that we see this again next year. Hopefully without the controversy. I'm hoping for maybe a bit of a cleaner fight, a few less incidents, and either Michael Massey to be, let's say, assisted in his job and decision making, or replaced in his job. I want to see the stewards be a lot more consistent, whether that's getting one steward panel to travel to every race to leave it consistent, or we need clearer rules. Full stop. We need clearer rules on forcing another driver off the track, what's a legal overtake and what's an illegal overtake, when to give that back to position, because there's been times, not just this season, looking at Vettel in Canada 2019, for example, all these decisions, they're all inconsistent. We need some set rules on when and where an overtake is allowed, and for the stewards to then stick to those rules, and for not Michael Massey just to make up rules on the spot for the entertainment spectacle of it. But I hope that you found this rambling on from a plebby sim racer such as myself, and an F1, more importantly, a lifetime F1 fan. I, for one, am hella excited for the new regulations coming next year. The cars being able to follow each other. Who's going to get the regulations right? We don't know. I mean, Haas stopped developing their car back in the first race of the season. You never know. They could be the ones competing for the World Championship next year. Mick Schumacher and Mazepin 1-2. God, imagine the scenes. Ferrari might be back on top. McLaren, please McLaren, be back on top. All I'm hoping for is the best season we can possibly imagine. Give me a different race winner every race. Give me 2012 all over again. But as far as this season's going, it's done, it's dusted. Please be nice to each other in the comments. You might have your favourite driver, whether it's Lewis, whether it's Max, whether it's Fernando Alonso, for all I care. Be nice, be civil, have a calm discussion in the comments. Thank you very much for taking your time to listen to me rambling on, and for listening to my opinions on the Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed, then I really appreciate it if you do hit that like button, subscribe if you want to as well. Something a bit different from my usual content. Normally I'm a sim racer, I do talky shouty videos, I do lots of iRacing, and I also stream over on Twitch if you want to go check me out there. Link is in the description below. All that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you on the next one. See you later, guys.